As an investor, do you think it's time to start de-risking the portfolios, or are you adding to positions towards year end?
So for us, we're very tactical in nature. I think there's two parts to that answer. Right here and now, of course, in December historically is a favorable and a positive month, as is January. So I don't think it's hard to argue for de-risking here. I think that as we look out into next year, though, given everything I just said about, we're going to close 9 years in a row, we're breaking records, I think folks do need to start to think about tactical about de-risking, or about looking for those exit points. What would cause them to de-risk, either because the markets have just run up too much for their own comfort, or are there underlying changes in the tone of the market brought about by either no passage of tax cuts, or if we see greater wage pressure and the Fed indicates perhaps more than the 3 rate hikes for 18 that they have indicated.
So would any of those factors cause you to de-risk right now, or perhaps in the early part of 2018?
So we run our portfolios in a quantitative way based upon the action of treasuries and utilities. If I started to see next year a further drop of the yield curve, a true compression, right now the yield curve has been dropping very hard. But if we begin to become inverted, if we see volatility pick up in a meaningful way, I mean, we're so used to having no volatility. A VIX of 12 or 13 for a day or two feels like volatility. I'm talking about where a VIX is above 20, where a yield curve goes negative. Yes, then I think folks should start to think about de-risking and protecting those gains.
One of the ultimate bull cases in the market right now is the progress of tax reform, and investors are really optimistic that the implementation of that tax reform is going to drive corporate earnings and economic growth. I'm curious, though, I wanted to get your view on this. Do you think tax and the tax reform package will actually be able to meet the lofty expectations of the market?
Yeah, the answer to that is, of course, right now, there does seem to be a cutting of regulations. There are provisions to bring. There's a tremendous amount of money, trillions of dollars being held by corporations overseas. That has been one of the holy grails that has been held out for the last really 8 years, about if we, the U.S., can bring that money back, that money can further infrastructure growth and further investment. And the market is beginning to believe that story. So those are high expectations, and we'll have to see how this tax reform bill actually gets passed, and then the market's reaction to it when we see exactly what it is. But those expectations, I suspect, are beginning to be priced in.